Good morning, class. This is Esaine Jacube, and today I will present to you what is Romanticism. So, for today's topics, we will discuss Romanticism, the notable artists of Romanticism, famous artworks, and the literature under Romanticism. So, first, what is Romanticism? Romanticism is an artistic literacy and intellectual movement that originated in Europe towards the end of the 18th century. Romanticism art movement was expanding the emotion of the artist and of the viewer with scenes of beauty, love, anger, horror, suspense, and adoration. Romanticism is a reaction to the birth of modern world. It was a revolt against industrialization, secularization, urbanization, and consumerism. To move on, these are the notable artists and their artworks. First, Francisco Goya. Francisco Goya is a Spanish romantic painter and printmaker. His paintings and engravings reflected contemporary historical upheavals and influenced important 19th and 20th century painters. These are the famous paintings of Francisco Goya. First is Saturn devouring his son. So, it is a story painting that illustrates the myth of the Roman god, which is Saturn, who, haunted by a prophecy that he would be overthrown by one of his sons, ate each of them and moments after they were burned. The second one is the sleep of freedom produced monsters. So in the image, an artist asleep at his drawing table is besieged by creatures associated in Spanish folk tradition with mystery and evil. Then the third one is about Yard with Lunatics. As you can see, it is a horrifying and imaginary vision of loneliness, fear, and social alienation, a departure from the rather more superficial treatment of mental illness in the works of earlier artists. Next, so the second artist is Theodore Géricault. Theodore Géricault is a painter who exerted a seminal influence on the development of Romantic art in France. Géricault was a dandy and an avid horseman whose dramatic paintings reflect a flamboyant and passionate personality. And this is the most famous painting of Géricault, which is the Rock of the Medusa. It is a painting portrays a scene that followed after the French naval ship Medusa's wreck. Third, Caspar David Friedrich. Friedrich is an icon in Germany and internationally renowned and considered the most important German Romantic artist. He is viewed as a figure of great psychological complexity, a celebrator of beauty haunted by darkness. Friedrich is best known for works which put humans amid night skies, morning mist, barren trees, and etc. that illustrate diminished strength of man in the larger scale of life. This is the example of Friedrich's work, which is Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog. So, as you can see, the figure stands in contemplation and self-reflection, mesmerized by the haze of the sea fog, as if it were a religious and spiritual experience. He wonders in that moment about the unforeseen future. Next, Henry Fuseli. He is a Swiss-born artist whose paintings are among the most dramatic, original, and sensual works of his time. Fuseli was reared in an intellectual and artistic milieu and initially studied theology. Fuseli is famous for his paintings and drawings of nude figures caught in strained and violent poses, suggestive of intense emotion. These are the famous paintings of Henry Fuseli. The first one is The Nightmare, and the second one is Christ disappearing at a mouse. To move on, these are the famous literature under the Romantic era. First one is Les Miserables, which is very known. Second one is Frankenstein. And third one is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So before we end, we must also talk about the world-class Filipino artist. It is Juan Luna. Juan Luna is one of the most famous and celebrated Filipino artists in the history of Philippines. Luna is known for his dynamic and unique style, along with his dramatic and captivating canvases. His work is remembered as one of the principal examples of Romanticism and Realism schools of art. Juan was not just an artist, he was a revolutionary and influential political activist who was an active participant in the Philippine Revolution that took place in the late 19th century. So, we all familiar with this. This is the Spoliarium. And that's all. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something about my report. And this is my sources. Thank you.